Welcome to Black and Gold Digital Edition, a behind-the-scenes look at your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hi, and welcome to a playoff edition of our digital show. I'm Jay Pushkar alongside Kent Urbanski and Mike Fenner. And Kent, we were in Baltimore for Week 18, and all of us knew going into that, A, the Steelers had to win, and B, they needed a lot of help throughout the National Football League, and everything came together for them.
Right. I picked the Steelers to win in Baltimore, but I did not think that Jacksonville was going to win against Indianapolis. And the whole game down there, they kept putting it up on the Jumbotron, so everybody knew what was going on, including the players. They even talked about that in their postgame. What a wild, wild day. And it ended even wilder with a night game that almost got to a tie and knocked them out. So I don't think I even got to sleep that night.
And to make it even crazier, if the Steelers and the Ravens ended in a tie, they both eliminate each other.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just it's what the NFL wants.
Absolutely.
Especially with that 17th game now in the season. They wanted that drama, and they certainly got it. But now Pittsburgh's got a shot at making a run to a championship.
Right, and they've been in this position before. I don't think the pressure is definitely not on them because I don't think they themselves were expecting to get there. So now I think they can go in there a little bit relaxed now and just see what happens, so to speak. And you never know. And I mean, we've seen crazy things. Only just this past week have we seen crazy things happen, and I think they can go in there with a fighter's chance.
And Mike, there's been such a buzz this week too about the comments that Ben Roethlisberger has made about, well, we don't have a chance. We're like the 14th best team in our conference. We're the 7th seed. We're going on the road, a place that we got blown out weeks ago. All tongue in cheek, but there might be some truth to that too. You got to feel what the locker room atmosphere is like going into this one.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys are saying, wow, this is a surprise that we're here, but hey, you got to go in and play loose, play your game, see what happens. And this is very reminiscent of 2005. Of course, everyone referencing Jerome Bettis' last run and those guys kind of carrying him. And Ben talked about that where he's like, Jerome didn't say anything. He didn't have to say anything. We wanted to do it for him. Yeah. So he's not sure that these guys haven't said the same thing about trying to carry Ben to his last run here and try to make a deep run into the Super Bowl. But regardless, come out, play loose, play your game. And another side story here has been the interesting thing with the donations from Steeler fans.
Yeah.
You talk about Daniel Carlson bearing that field goal for the Raiders to avoid the tie, give the Raiders the win. And then, of course, Jacksonville beating the Colts. You'd think there's donations to charities both in Jacksonville and Las Vegas. How about for the Chargers, though? Brandon Staley calling the timeout deep into that overtime.
Right.
It could have been a tie without it.
Yeah.
And then we might not be standing here talking about playoff football.
Yeah, I have a good friend of mine that says the fix is on there, but I'm not buying into that. This is a professional league. And
that was wild.
Right, so.
I just can't get over that. That was, a crazy, the first week 18 and then to end that way past midnight Eastern time. That was crazy.
It was a really exciting moment. And we were still sitting on our seats because we were wondering, do we have another job to do for another week, or is this it? It all came down to that game. Yeah,
came down to that game after midnight, after that day started at 4 in the morning, going to Baltimore and everything. So, but I like Mike said, the NFL likes that, and they drama sells, and they got it.
And guys, with the way the season has shaped up, it really is a matter of a break or two. And that's how the playoffs are going to be. We've seen champions crowned where it took one deflection or one non-conversion on a third down situation and gives the team the ball back with a chance to win it. So, when you start playoff talk, you really do have to wipe the slate clean and almost put everything behind you. And that's going to be the case for Pittsburgh, where yes, they got blown out in Kansas City, but you know what? They're now no strangers to what that atmosphere is going to be like at Arrowhead.
And they talk about being, we're the 14th team out of these playoff teams. I don't agree with that. The Philadelphia Eagles are 0-7 against teams with winning records. The Pittsburgh Steelers beat Buffalo week 1 on the road. They beat Tennessee. I think we could all three agree those are two of the top 3 or 4 teams in the conference. Okay,
right.
So they've done it. They didn't beat Cincinnati this year. They didn't beat Kansas City, but they have quality wins, and they've proven time and again that they have a chance to win big games. They swept Baltimore, which this year they're not in, but those are big quality wins. This is a team that's been tested. They can win close games. they should have more confidence. And I don't think they should look at themselves as the black sheep of this playoff field, because I don't think they're the worst team in this field.
And a couple of the teams that are in there that are top seeds, they beat,
Yeah.
Buffalo and Nashville, Tennessee, sorry. Like I said, wiped the slates clean, and they've been there a couple of weeks ago. They fumbled the ball away on several occasions that turned into points. So take those 17 points out of the equation, and it's a tighter game than it really is. So
Yeah.
than it looked on at the end. So I think Pittsburgh can go in there. I think, for me, I think you keep J.C. Hassenauer at center for one. I think he has made a huge difference for that offensive line. And I think you need, and you say it every week, but if you can control the line of scrimmage a little bit more and keep Mahomes off the field and limit his time on the field, you're gonna have a favorable, matchup coming into the fourth quarter. And the defense has come around, I think, a little bit too, and they've tightened up a little bit. You did mention that Travis Kelce's coming back. That is worrisome.
Tyreek Hill was quiet the first matchup too.
Yeah.
Both those guys could be a big problem.
Right, but Ben didn't have Freiermuth either, so I think they need to utilize the middle of that field more with those two tight ends that they have. And, like he said, go out and have fun and see what happens.
And Mike, for weeks we've been talking about this. You look at the first half statistics of all these games, 0, 0, 3, 10, 0. How do they jumpstart and get some sort of positive reaction out of their offense and get some points on the board, especially going on the road?
That's the most important part for this game. That's the million-dollar question, because they've been able to get away with that against almost every other team, truly, except this Kansas City matchup where they got down. What was it, 23-0, 30-0? I mean, they have to find a way, even if it's come out from the opening kickoff and go 2 minutes and just use that tempo and say, all right, we're going, we're going to throw every bolt in the chamber we got. So I don't know. That's the big million-dollar question, because they cannot get in the hole against this team. This is the only time that cannot happen. They've gotten away with it several other times against quality opponents and come back and won the game. But if you get in too deep of a hole here too quickly, it's quicksand.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And Ken, how important is it to just take the crowd out of it too? If they can get an early lead, even if it's just 10-0, just to put a little bit of doubt on the home team that, wait, we should be already up 14-0. Here we are, we're 10 in the hole.
Well, number one, I think T.J. Watt's going to have a huge game. He wasn't real healthy. I mean, because I ISO'd on him several times in that game, and he just didn't seem like he was engaged as much. I think he's going to make a difference in this game. You got to put a little pressure on Mahomes and maybe get a strip sack there or something like that, and turn the ball over. So. And I think when Ben came out and said that, talked about, us being the 14th team in there now, I think he's just trying to take the pressure off of the team now, because there's really only 3 guys on that team that even have playoff experience, So, and he being the most experience of it. So I think he's being the leader there, and if everybody can buy into that, you got rookies, Freiermuth and Najee Harris and guys like that playing, and they've never played in games like, but Najee's played in national championship games. Those guys
used to big game atmosphere.
They're used to big game atmosphere. So, I like I said, I like their chances going into this game. This team always steps up when they're playing for something or with a chip on their shoulder. So.
Speaking of Harrison, lastly, Mike, I mean, how important could he be? Just ball control, being able to run. Had a great performance a few nights ago against Cleveland, being able to get 188 yards and just really, really toted the rock well. How much could that be a factor going in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talk about the ball control, keeping Mahomes on the sideline. If Harris and this offensive line can establish that run game, if he can be the featured guy that steps up and has a huge playoff performance, this could be a huge difference. Thinking about the Kansas City Chiefs defensively and giving up a big performance to a running back, how about back to 2017, Derrick Henry with his come-out performance in the playoffs? DeMarco Murray went down a few weeks prior. Henry was the number 2 back, but that was his breakout game, especially in that second half. They just had to get back into it. The Chiefs ended up losing that game. That was still Alex Smith, not Patrick Mahomes. That was the end of the Alex Smith era, really. But this could be a big opportunity on a big stage for Harris to come out. I mean, he's had a great season. He's been productive. Hasn't turned the ball over either. No fumbles, 281 touches, second most for a player single season NFL history to do that. So could be a huge factor. And yeah, I mean, if he can really take over the game, then what are the Chiefs going to do to try to, stop? They're not going to have to worry about too much else if he just takes over.
Cleveland went in there last year, played them tough. So did Buffalo the year before that. So I think this is going to be a great game.
Yeah, everybody's vulnerable, and the exciting part is fans are all back in the stadium, so we're going to have that electricity of playoff football. So we'll see how the Steelers do as they are going to Kansas City for the Super Wildcard weekend, and then should they win, they would face the top seed Tennessee in the next round. But first things first, they got to take care of business on Sunday. So for Ken Urbanski and Mike Fenner, I'm Jay Pushkar. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks for watching. Join us again next week for Black and Gold Digital Edition.